Hey guys, it's the Conic, and with the third wave of Transfigured gems, I felt it was a good time to actually go over a few that I think could be potentially very strong and some that just fail to hit the mark. That being said, we're going to mostly be focusing on part 3 because we saw a huge number of Transfigured minion gems revealed to us finally, whereas the other two parts didn't have too many. They had a few here and there, but nothing too mind-blowing. Like for example, in part 1, they they revealed the anime Guardian of Smiting, and they also teased it on Twitter in case for anyone who saw the actual gameplay footage. Um, with this third wave, however, it was confirmed that the Smite of Divine Judgment, which is the smite the anime Guardian would be using, does not actually have the aura and is simply just a damage version of Smite. That said, there's a possibility that we will see builds that try to push this Smite's damage, maybe make it hit entire screens, maybe convert it to fire for some ignite play or something funky like that. But for now, this is not going to be one of the gems we really talk about. It has some potential, but nothing too serious that I would make that will make me believe that I would use this. It definitely is not going to be a staple pick in utility anime Guardian, as I think it loses some of the more life multipliers that we know the anime Guardian 2 have. Okay. So what are the gems we're going to be talking about first? First, we're going to talk about the raised spectre of transience or transience. I don't know how to say it. So the raised spectre of transience, what it does is it gives you the ability to use 5 temporary specters. Now this is 5 at level 20, so there's a very good possibility that we're going to be able to use even more than that. We're going to be able to use up to maybe 7 by level 25. I don't know, but we're going to be able to use more. They're all going to be temporary. They're all going to kind of have steroids because they all have movement speed, elemental res. They don't really have extra life, but you get the gist of it. Now, if you are looking for a playstyle that involves using Desecrate a lot and potentially looking for a specific minion in the middle of a fight, this might be good. However, I don't see this as anything I might use. And the reason being, I don't think there are many people who like having to resummon specters. And for a build like this, you would probably want specific specters to keep using their steroided version. Otherwise, it's just Now, granted, you can also scale you can also scale duration and have them last for a bit longer, maybe up to a minute. But at the end of the day, they are still temporary specters, and I don't see it as being good. And even for the league mechanic with the specters you buy, this is not something you want. You don't want them to be temporary. Imagine you spend 8 divines on a Hydra and it only lasts a minute. So it has potential, but I don't see it being anything fancy. Same with the raised zombie of slamming. The slam attack, for those of you who do not know, is not an attack that people rely on when using zombies. We use the default attack of the zombies, and then we try to use splash damage to make it AoE. Slam attack has always kind of been inconsistent with hitting enemies or just being overall slow. With the increased AoE, however, I have to believe that the AoE gets big enough to where we do not actually miss targets as much, and potentially with the cooldown recovery, maybe it wouldn't be clunky. But I don't see this. I don't see this being anything too good. Raised zombie of falling. This has potential. I was disappointed to find out it just did basically minion zombie attack by, and then multiply that by 2.5x as it was revealed. And it doesn't take into account their size or their health. None of this affects the damage of it falling, because I would think the healthier a zombie was, the more damage it would do when it lands on your head. But apparently GGG doesn't agree with this, so that is not the case. Anyways, there is potential there. We'll have to wait and see. I know Zizaran is plans on league starting this, so I look forward to seeing what he comes up with in that regard. There is a universe I play the skill, but I just don't see it. I honestly just don't see it. The golems that were revealed, the Chaos Golem and the Flame Golem, both have special transfigured gems aside Horde. Now, all the golems are going to receive Horde according to this note. So, if you want to know what Horde is, it essentially makes it so there you can have at least 3 golems. Like, you have a maximum of 3 golems that you can use for each of them. So you can have 3 stone golems, 3 carrion golems, whatever it is. If you have the horde transfigured gem, you can have more than 1. So they all have this. However, chaos and flame have a different transfigured gem too, like alongside horde. Now for the chaos golem, it is the TLDR of this is it is chaos damage RF that applies wither. Now we have no idea how often it applies wither, if it can fully stack wither all by itself, how strong the damage of the dot is. We don't know. However, I will say if it can stack wither enough to like fully stack in the 2 seconds that wither lasts, and in case you don't know what wither does, wither increases the chaos damage enemies take by 6%, I believe, and it stacks up to 15 times, but it only lasts 2 seconds. So you would need to apply it 15 times in 2 seconds to get optimal, like peak up, most uptime, most benefits from it, because every 2 seconds a stack will fall off. And if you can apply 15 in 2 seconds, then you can fully stack them and keep them fully stacked. So if the Chaos Golem has the ability to keep them fully stacked, then builds like Poison SRS might be able to consider using this as a utility minion for the purpose of withering, or at least to help out with keeping mobs or bosses fully wither stacked. That said, there is a universe where the Chaos Dot is actually strong, and we can finally make a Golemancer. And keep in mind that when it comes to Golemancers, there is a node like the Elementalist's Liege of the Primordial that increases the maximum number of summoned golems, so that you can have 2. And there is Elemancer, which also makes them resurrect once they die, and also gives you an extra golem. So there are scratch that. I think this one gives you auto resummon. So this gives you auto resummon, and they both give you extra summon golem. So there are a couple builds there are a couple nodes like that make it so this is very appealing, because if you just go there, you have 3 chaos dot golems, and if you can scale the damage enough, it might actually be a very strong build. Same with summon flame golem. Now, the summon flame golem, I don't think we can actually know what it does, barring testing it or GGG confirming, because the wording is quite confusing. Now I'm going to read it so you guys hear the wording same way I read it. Summons a flame golem. When summoned, the flame golem attacks by falling from the sky, dealing fire damage in an area and leaving burning ground around the impact. After landing, it can cast a fire spray and wave of fire damage. Now this leads me to believe when it falls from the sky, unlike the falling zombie, it doesn't die because it goes ahead and does attacks. So you summon the golem. I also do not know if it does one falling from the sky attack per summon. If it's going to yeet itself back into the sky to redo it once its cooldown is done, I have no idea. This could be an interesting one though, because I do see if it's once per summon, then there might be builds that leverage Flame Golem and Infernal Legion to try to make it pop, and then have the Elementalist node kick in and resummon and have it drop from the sky again and rinse and repeat. You can potentially have an auto bomber that way. And if it does die after using its fire spray and wave of fire damage, then again, Elementalist just has an auto bomber just because, where it's just summoning 3 golems that keep falling out of the sky without any movement, any input from you whatsoever. So that is in and of itself an interesting build already. So I look forward to seeing what this is going to look like actually. If it has potential or not, I don't know. We'll have to see what that shapes up to be. This gem, this Summon Raging Spirit of Enormity, blew my mind the moment I saw it. Because from the moment I saw that they were moving the more multiplier from the scaling of base SRS and moving it to their melee attack, I kind of figured there was going to be a transfigured version for Popcorn SRS. I didn't expect how good it was going to be. I could never have seen this coming. Now, for those of you who don't know what Popcorn SRS is, It's an SRS that focuses on this node right here, minion instability, which makes minions explode, dealing 33% of their life as fire damage when they hit low life, and low life being less than 50% of their life. Now, why is this good for popcorn, you might ask? Easy. Because we have 88% more maximum life on the minions. Now, granted, you can only have 6 SRS, so you can't even have up to 20 like we did in the past. But these SRS have 88% more life. We following? Good. So even with just these numbers, it kind of is still a nerf. If you had 20 SRS pre-summon on a boss and they all popped, you would do more damage in the past than you would with this 6. So why do I think this is such a good gem? Because of what the line that follows next after the maximum life. Minion hits always critical strike. Now, minion instability, I believe, counts as a minion hit, the way I understand it. And previously, we never could scale it with crits because its base crit chance was 0%. So no matter how much increased crit chance you gave it, it would still be 1,000% increase of 0. So it's still 0%. So it still doesn't crit. However, making with this gem, it now makes it always crit, which means minion instability for the first time that I am aware of, at least, can crit and will always crit. And then I think the quality gives it critical strike multi. This gives us a new, for lack of a better term, damage bucket to play around with when making popcorn SRS. And not only that, it makes it so all you have to worry about is crit strike multi when dealing with crits with this particular archetype. This has to be the most efficient use of crits in minions currently, or at least one of them. I don't know a more efficient use of crits, but you literally don't even have to spec a single point into crit strike chance. All you have to do is scale your minion life, scale minion damage, and scale minion crit multi, and you will have a lot of damage. So I am looking forward to seeing what this is going to look like. With only 6 summon Raging Spirit, however, I don't see this particular Transfigured gem being used for anything besides popcorn. Like, I don't see it being used for consistent damage, even with the always crit. So they really did a good job making it for a niche, and that niche doing it well. That being said, I do have a build that's going to be coming out very soon. Keep an eye out to probably tomorrow or next, that focuses on scaling minion life and using the Sentinel of Radiance from the Guardian's Ascendancy tree well into the end game. So instead of having your Sentinel's damage fall off where, like yellow maps, it stops really killing mobs the same way it used to, you would literally have your campaign experience where your Sentinel melts everything all through the game for all content. So I'm going to be making a guide on that. It is a build I worked on mostly during last league, but I have gone ahead and made like the league starter variant, and this is exactly what I'm going to be league starting. And so keep an eye out for that. That's going to be an interesting video to see, so you don't want to miss it out. Summon Reaper of Revenants it's okay. It's okay for Summon Reaper, in my opinion. It kind of alleviates some of the concerns I had with Summon Reaper in the past, my problems with it, where the Summon Reaper makes it so you basically can't have any other non-Reaper minion, because A, they'll do less damage, B, they just have less life, and C, if your Summon Reaper gets low, it will literally eat your other minions. So you basically can only really have Summon Reaper or any minion you can afford to lose. So like maybe you can have some skeletons so you can always heal. But the problem with Reaper is it's always been just the one minion, and it's not like the Sentinel of Radiance that has screen wide AoE. It basically is like a regular minion, except a bit like give it some steroids, that's it. So you would have your Reaper maybe potentially clearing the right side of the screen, let's say. Even if you have good damage on that Reaper, unless you went for something like Gravebind or some form of explode, with using its bleed, you wouldn't have good wave clear. But with this particular Transfigured gem, you now have 3 Reapers, and of course, because they are Reapers, they don't get weaker because they don't nerf themselves. So there's a universe where you play around with Summon Reaper. Maybe you increase its bleeding and then give it like sadism to make it so the bleeds expire faster. So you have three different reapers on three different sides applying fast acting bleeds, and they also, they also attack pretty quick too. So there is a universe where I play around with this and just see what it looks like. But I mean, it's Summon Reaper. No one really plays Summon Reaper. It's an awkward feeling skill. Maybe this alleviates some of the concerns. Summon Reaper of Eviscerating seems like a bossing version of the Reaper. It just takes what the Reaper currently is. It takes what that is and then just gives it steroids. It gives it more damage bleeding. It gives it a bigger chance to inflict bleeding. It just takes what the Reaper currently is and then gives it steroids. So, that. Summon Skeleton of Archers and Summon Skeleton of Mages. It's kind of self-explanatory. Previously, we had Dead Reckoning, which would allow us to have all our skeletons be mages, and then we had a phantasmal version of Summon Skeleton that made all our skeletons. Well, I guess this made skeletons mages up to a maximum with Dead Reckoning, and this phantasmal version made it so your skeletons would be archers, I think up to a maximum too. So instead of having that, we just have Summon Skeletons where most of them are going to be archers. Like your regular Summon Skeleton gem will only summon archers. This one only summon mages. I don't think it's not buffed or anything. It's just what we already had, right? So that is interesting. And with that being said, that is all the gems I found interesting personally. Let me know what you thought about what I said. Let me know if you agree, you disagree, some of the things you're looking out for. Maybe things that excite you about the Transfigured gems coming out in 3.23, because I know I'm looking forward to it. That being said, I hope you have a good day. Thank you for watching.